Hello, so I've been meaning to do this for a little while, so I have this pretty basic model here, right? So it's modeled in, the steel is at 15 feet elevation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a camera at the 15-foot mark. So what I'll do is, I usually like to put it out here somewhere, so what I'll do is I'll just put it here and move it up. So let's come over here. So I'm going to create a new drawing style that covers shear studs. So the shear studs aren't welded in the shop, they're usually not on site, so I want them to appear on the plans for the guy shooting the studs or welding the studs. So it's basic, I don't have the bottom connection in here, but what we'll do is we're going to put in a camera. So let's put a camera view in here. Now I know already that this, sorry, that's not the way I want the UCS. I want it turned. Oh, no, actually that's good, sorry. I'll do it here at the A point. So let's put it in here. And that's good. And we're going to call it plan view, and we're going to call it first floor, I guess. Second floor, you know what, it's a mezzanine, so mezzanine plan. And the style, we're going to probably change this anyway, so let's just go into the, you know, we won't change it. I'm going to do the proper, my proper plan view, and we'll go from there. So plan view 80M 336, alright. And the scale of this, something like a half or a quarter. We'll just do a quarter for now. Okay, and display detail front, rear. I'm just going to go 12 and 12, and don't worry about this. Alright, now I'm going to move this up 15 feet so that it is in the same plane as the steel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, so these ones are all at 15 feet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move all these down to 14 feet. You know what? I'll move them down to 14'6" because I only have 12 inches at the back. So let's move these down to 14'6". Oh, sorry. I moved it down 14'6". So, sorry. Let's select these again. And move down 6 inches. Not thinking straight. So move it down 6 inches. Okay. So now I want to control these ones. So let's say these ones are going to have studs, these ones aren't. And I also want the elevations to show up. So that's why I've moved the elevation of this. So first of all, let me just trim these columns down to the right height. Okay, so the columns are the right height. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new model role. So let's go into our management tools, object property editor, model roles, and let's go to beam. So we have beam with beam not unfolded, template. Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, this is all straight linear and planar elements. So all straight linear planar elements, and I'm going to call it beam studs. So that's a beam with studs. Okay. So I'm going to apply that. Okay. So now if I click on this, we can see that it doesn't have any model roll, right? So I didn't put the model rolls in for these yet. So what we'll do is let's go to the top view and zoom down in. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, let's update the defaults. I'm going to select these beams, and this beam, and this beam, and multi-edit beams, and we're going to name them beams. Okay, so we did them all except for this one. So this one will also include with the beams with studs, just so we can see one at the other elevation. So let's select all these, and advanced properties, naming, and we'll do beams, beam studs. There you go. So beams with studs. Now, as you can see, I created my columns as beams, which I usually do. So let's change them to the column. So change the layer first, and it'll keep them selected, and they are already columns. All right. Sorry. So that's good. So now what we want to do is we just want to name whatever beam has studs. So let's pick these two outside ones. Advanced properties. I'm going to go into the user defined or user attributes, and I'm going to put in 16 studs on those beams, and these ones here, I'm going to put 12 studs. I'll put 12 in here. Okay, so now they have 12 studs. So now I'm going to output the drawing. So if I pick this and then come in here and do selected cameras page full, and I just want to put it on one, we call it 100, so E100, okay, and that's going to put that drawing on a sheet. Then we're going to pick the camera view, right click, show camera detail, and we can see we have a camera detail here, right, and it's showing top of steel 15. So I have changed this. Previously I had this in as something else because I had to change a job to top of steel measurements. Usually that will be set to, I can update that size as well. So let's go to output. We're going to go to that drawing style, and I'll show you. So usually I have the beams set to come in. Now they're not numbered, so maybe I should number it first. Let me number it. So I'm just going to number, okay, just so we can see what the numbers on it as well. Come back in here to drawing style, selected, labels, update. I don't really need to do this because I'm going to update it in a second anyway. And you can see the labels have changed. Top of steel, okay, top of steel. So that's fine, but that's not usually how I have them in. Usually I'll give a reference elevation underneath the title. So I'm going to go in here, plan view, 330 seconds. So in here we have main part beams. So we want to go down to our main part beams because it's numbered. So main part beams, not side width, this one here. So as you can see, this is alignment. So this is set correct. But I must have changed it inside. So let me go in and have a look. So alignment is good. So let me do, if I use this, it should update that. So as you can see, it has updated that. So when I changed it, so once I numbered it, it's behaving differently because it's using the main part beam instead of the single part beam. So if you can see, we'll just do it again. So if I delete that one, we'll go back and we'll set this onto the drawing again. So let's change this actually up a little bit to 3/8. 3/8, okay. Select that, select the camera page full. We'll put it onto that E100 again. It should fit, shouldn't be an issue. And then we'll go back to the drawing. Now we can see now our labels are over on the right side and they're down here. Alright, so the labels are where we want them. So for now we can see we have elevation changes here, which is good. So this one also has studs and these ones have studs, so they're not showing up on this. So what we need to do is we want to add a drawing stud, we want to add a label. So if I add a label to this, So the thought is to put in a label, right, that's going to cover the studs. So it's in the user attributes. So if we come back into this, sorry, phone is ringing there. If we come back into this, the main part being all. So let's go back to the object presentation. Now, main part beam all is what's covering that. So that is going to cover the beams that have, if we go in here we can see all model roles. So we now want to open one that's going to cover, or we want to create one that's going to cover ones with the model role of, let's go in and I'll show you. So we want to create one with the model role, so we want to change this in here. Main part beam, we don't want to change this, we want to create a new one. So we want to do main part beam studs. Okay, and with model role, and okay, and then we want to change that model role to beam studs. Apply, okay, and I shouldn't have closed that, sorry, so let's open it again, and let's go back in here, object presentation, and let's scroll down to the bottom where I just created that one, beam with studs, and we'll go up and put this above this one, so it, otherwise it'll recognize this one unless I remove the beam with studs from this one. So it's easier to just create a new one and put it above it. So the one with studs now, I want to create a new label. So the new label I want to create is going to be alignment 330 seconds. So alignment, and then I'm going to put studs at the end of it. Studs, okay. Now don't forget, I often forget to update this one. So create a new one here. And studs here. Okay. So now I have the drawing style here. And you can see the name sloping. Now sometimes I like to have these on the same line depending on the drawing, but we'll just leave it this way for now. So what I'm going to do is come in here, and I'm going to put that a bracket in there for the studs. Maybe I should put another space, but that'll do for now. And then come in here and put in your token for user attributes. So it just means when you're putting in the beams, or after you have the beams put in, you have to go back and put in the value of the studs for each one, and then apply and use. Let's see what happens. It's actually going to make this bigger because I never set the scale there. So we can see we now have, we will come down here, mezzanine. So what I need to do is come back in here, and we want to put, oh, now this is obviously your own preference. This is how I do it, probably not the right way or what other people want to do, but just gives you an idea how to control it. So labels, update detail, and this should come in with that reference elevation, and then you will have your notes referring to the rest, to show you where the rest are. Now it's a little bit big, so let's back it down a little bit, back down to the 3/8. It's getting a bit close to the edge of the page. Alright, now we can see that we have our labels in. It's showing me that I'm -6 inches from that 15-foot mark. Now you can put it in the top of steel as well if you want, whichever you prefer. And there's your studs, 12 studs, 12 studs, 12, 12, 12. You can see we have 16 studs over here, and 16 studs here. And this one on the higher elevation has no elevation in it, and just the studs. So that was my issue. I didn't want the ones with no studs to be coming in with a bracket. So that's kind of what happens, what I was doing before, and now it kind of looks good, right? So there's a little bit of work because you have to go through the model and put in your studs, I'm doing a larger job, this one here, which I'm going to use this drawing style for, and there's a lot of studs on the first floor. So look, I feel like this will be helpful, and I hope it's a useful video for anybody that uses studs or wants kind of a more controlled way of outputting their drawings. Alright, thank you, take care.